Ladies and gentlemen, friends, patriots, and truth seekers around the world, I ask you tonight to listen closely, not simply with your ears, but with your conscience, with your reason, and with your vision for the future of our democracy. Because what I am about to say is not entertainment. It is not just another headline, not just another partisan jab. This is about leadership. It is about the mental fitness of a man who has held and seeks again to hold the highest office in the land. In recent weeks, respected psychologists and seasoned observers have raised urgent alarms. They have revealed what many of us have seen with our own eyes, but perhaps hesitated to put into words: recent and troubling signs, public symptoms, of cognitive decline in Donald J. Trump. This is not a whisper in back rooms anymore. It has stepped onto the stage of history, and it confronts us all. Now I ask you, have you not noticed the stumbles, the forgotten names, the repeated stories? Have you not seen the moments where sentences collapse under the weight of confusion, where geography is mangled, where history is rewritten not out of strategy but out of disorientation? Have you not seen him mix up Obama and Biden, confuse Nancy Pelosi with Nikki Haley, boast about achievements from decades ago as if they were yesterday, and lose track of his own thought halfway through a sentence? These are not small slips of the tongue. They are a pattern. They are symptoms. Psychologists call it cognitive slippage. Everyday Americans call it forgetfulness. But in the context of the presidency, in the arena of global power where one misstep can alter the course of history, it is something far more dangerous. It is incapacity. And incapacity, when hidden behind bluster, when masked by ego, is a ticking time bomb for a nation. But let me be clear. This is not about mocking age, because age alone is not the issue. We have seen leaders in their 70s, 80s, even 90s who radiated wisdom, sharpness, and clarity. This is not about numbers on a calendar. This is about symptoms displayed before the world. And friends, the symptoms are piling up. When a man forgets the name of the city he is standing in, when he repeats the same story 3 times in a single speech, when he declares that he ran against someone he never ran against, when he mixes world leaders as if they are interchangeable props, these are not the marks of strength. They are the marks of decline. They are the red flags that every responsible citizen must see waving in the wind. Now ask yourself, if this were any other job in America, if this were a pilot about to fly your plane, if this were a surgeon about to hold the scalpel above your chest, if this were a CEO entrusted with billions of dollars, would you not demand clarity of mind? Would you not insist on sharp judgment? Would you not step in and say, "Hold on, something is wrong here"? And yet, for the presidency, some would have us pretend not to notice. Some would have us normalize what is not normal. Some would say, "Oh, it's just Trump being Trump." But no, my friends, it is not just Trump being Trump. It is Trump forgetting what Trump himself said minutes earlier. It is Trump confusing events, places, people, time itself. And it is psychologists, experts in cognition, raising their voices to say, we cannot ignore this anymore. And here is where the politics comes in. Because you see, there is a temptation to laugh it off. There is a temptation to say, well, this is good for his opponents. His decline will defeat him. But let me tell you, nothing about dementia, nothing about cognitive decline is funny. It is heartbreaking when it touches our loved ones. It is devastating when it enters a household. But when it enters the Oval Office, it is catastrophic. This is not just about the mistakes of a man, it is about the stakes for a nation. Think of the nuclear codes. Think of emergency briefings at 3 a.m. Think of negotiations with adversaries, who watch every twitch, every hesitation, every stumble for advantage. Think of a man who cannot recall names trying to recall complex strategies in the fog of confusion. This is not an option. This is not leadership. This is peril. And yet, here we are, in rallies across the country, You can watch it unfold. His once scripted bravado has become meandering rants. His punchlines now stretch into endless loops. His once calculated insults dissolve into muddled half-phrases. He drifts into stories about dishwashers, about light bulbs, about crowd sizes that grow larger in memory each time he tells them. He circles back and circles back as if the needle of his mind is stuck in the same groove. My friends, America deserves better. And I want to motivate you here because this is not a speech about despair. It is a speech about responsibility. Because when we see these things, when experts raise their warnings, when the evidence is public and undeniable, it is not enough to shake our heads. It is not enough to joke about it in living rooms. We must act. We must demand accountability. We must raise the standard for leadership in the world's oldest democracy. Remember this. Our vote is not just a political weapon. It is a safeguard of sanity. Our voices are not just noise in the crowd. They are the instruments of history. When psychologists reveal symptoms of decline, it is not gossip. It is a call to civic duty. Now, some will say, but wait, his supporters don't care. They love him no matter what. They see strength where others see weakness. They call the slips fake news. And yes, that is the challenge. But truth has a way of breaking through if we insist on speaking it. If we refuse to let lies become normal. If we refuse to let decline be mistaken for destiny. Let me remind you of something. Democracies do not die when dictators rise. Democracies die when people look away, when people excuse, when people normalize the abnormal. So I challenge you. Do not look away. Do not excuse. Do not normalize. Stand up and say, we see what is happening, and we will not let it define our future. There are moments in history when nations are tested not only by external threats, but by internal truths. This is one of those moments. Because what good is defeating enemies abroad if the leader at home cannot remember who those enemies are? What good is boasting of strength if the mind behind the boast is crumbling? Psychologists have revealed the symptoms. The world has witnessed the slips. Now it is our job, as citizens, as patriots, as people who care about the next generation, to take this seriously. Do not let anyone tell you this is about partisanship. It is not. If any president of any party displayed the same symptoms, the same confusion, the same decline, we would owe it to ourselves and to the Constitution to ask the hard questions. And yes, I know the critics will say, but look at others, look at Biden, look at Pelosi, look at Feinstein before she passed. And you know what? That is exactly the point. We should look. We should examine. We should expect mental fitness from all leaders, left or right. This is not about red or blue. It is about reality. Let me tell you a story. Not long ago, a voter stood up at a town hall and said, I love Trump, but lately, I've noticed he doesn't sound the same. That honesty, that courage to say what is obvious, is what we need. We need citizens who refuse to follow blindly, who put country above personality, who put clarity above chaos. Because here's the truth. Leadership is not entertainment. The presidency is not a stage show. It is not about who can rally the loudest crowd or throw the sharpest insult. It is about judgment, clarity, resilience of mind, steadiness of thought. And if those things are compromised, then everything else is compromised. My friends, I urge you, do not be silent. Share what you see. Demand mental fitness tests for candidates. Ask the hard questions at rallies, at debates, in interviews. Let us create a culture where the mind matters as much as the message, where fitness for duty includes cognitive fitness. This is a test for America. Will we pretend not to see the obvious, or will we confront it with courage? Will we let decline disguise itself as strength? Or will we insist on truth even when it is uncomfortable? I believe we can rise to this moment. I believe that truth still has power, that the conscience of citizens still matters, that democracy is still strong enough to demand leaders who are strong in mind as well as body. And so I say to you, take the warnings of psychologists seriously. Take the evidence you see seriously. Do not mock it, do not ignore it, but do not despair. Instead, act, speak, vote, organize, inspire. Because the future is not written by those who forget, it is written by those who remember. And today, let us remember our duty. Let us remember our power. Let us remember that democracy demands clarity, and that clarity begins with us. And so I leave you with this truth. When psychologists warn, when the symptoms are clear, when the future is on the line, silence is surrender. But courage, my friends, courage is the spark that saves a nation. The question is not whether Trump is showing signs of decline. The question is, will we decline into complacency or will we rise into action? The future is waiting for our answer. And so I leave you with this truth. When psychologists warn, when the symptoms are clear, when the future is on the line, silence is surrender. But courage, my friends, courage is the spark that saves a nation. The question is not whether Trump is showing signs of decline. The question is, will we decline into complacency or will we rise into action? The future is waiting for our answer.